You can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending.
All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN. This is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. And hey, NHL hockey cards are back with the fresh 234 card collection from Upper Deck. Find your favorite NHL stars, specialty interests. Hey, there's rare autograph cards included in this whole promotion as well. And Ray, you could even uncover the Golden Days card for a VIP trip to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final, or for the first time ever, how about this? Win a brand new car. Everybody needs a brand new car. Everybody.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's part of the NHL hockey cards.
I like it.
Tim's Challenge. And you and I are going to participate. We're going to have Ryan Rashog join us a little bit later in the podcast. And he's going to explain all of the details. Let's not give too much away just yet, but you've already submitted your picks for tonight as we record here Thursday. I've submitted mine. Ryan has been playing, I guess, since Tuesday. We've got Zuby involved in this. So it is a full Ray and Dregs assault on the Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge. So
I got to say, the one thing, like when we were getting set up for this, Ryan put in his picks from yesterday's just to show us, that he had the picks in. And I thought it was pretty predictable, the tag at the bottom from the Tim Hortons app. None of your picks are correct.
You're all wrong.
Wrong. Good luck tomorrow.
I went full Canadian on this Thursday. I did. We'll talk about the picks later, but I went full Canadian. You've got Ottawa playing, you've got Winnipeg playing, lots of stuff going on. Montreal.
So. I got. We'll get to it later, but I'm curious to see who you pick.
Okay, we're going to dive into the headlines momentarily, but you have done a masterful job, my friend, of just laying low on social media. Laying low. You're very positive. You've always got that cutting sense of humor. But I did notice a reply or a quote tweet, something along those lines. Somebody got under Ray Ferraro's skin or made an obscenity comment directed at you or whatever. And just a hint, not full old school Ray on Twitter, but there was just a little bit of bite in your response.
Well, you know what, Dregs? I'm going to go this year. I thought, after the game, I'm going to, I'm going to write like a quick little, hey, this is what I saw and this is what I observed. And so it was, and I was on the plane, so I got time to do it. And then, of course, I'm on the plane and I got nothing to do. So I'm reading responses. And this guy, this jackass that, comes in and, says something that is, that he would never say to you. But so I just called him chum. And I'm like, and it's amazing how it's almost like when you tell people to buzz off, beat it, buzz off. I think it's buzz off. Is that it? Buzz off?
Yeah, buzz off.
So annoying. So annoying when he says that.
And so I did notice one person responded and said that the thing about when I use chum is people aren't quite sure if that means like this is an old buddy or someone that I just completely have had enough of.
It's awesome. It's an awesome word.
And so, so that was yesterday's. But I was really, the new part of this thing is once I got off the plane, I didn't look anymore. I'm like, I got things to do. I got, but all I said was the Rangers look slow and they are getting used to their new system. And Pittsburgh looked really good. Kindle and Brunick had a really good first day for teenagers, and which I'm going to say, because I know we won't get it to headlines. I thought Dan Muse, his first game as a head coach, he gets the win for the Penguins, but he starts Crosby, Malkin, and Letang 20 years in a row. Those guys have played together. And then he starts them with Ben Kindle and Harrison Brunick playing in their first game.
Yeah.
And so both Kindle and Brunick were not born when Sid played his first game. And so I took a picture because I know Kindle's dad, Steve, was at the game, but I took a picture at the anthem.
So good.
He's standing shoulder to shoulder with Sid. And I'm like, it's just unbelievable. Like it's, I don't know. I just thought it was a nice touch for Dan Muse to do. And the Penguins got out of the gate. And, had a good night, good first night.
And then just for full disclosure, because we like to tell the truth on the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast, I actually didn't notice you tweeting, responding, any of that. I mean, I guess I had stuff going on. Ryan Rashog sent me the tweet and said, maybe it's time we bring back What's Bugging Ray. Oh, yeah. So he instantly turned it into, some sort of selfish sales motivation or something along those lines.
Okay, back in the day when I used to be a little more combative, I guess. We were at a World Junior Championship somewhere, and there's a dinner, and the brass had flown in, and Stu Johnson, who's the CFL commissioner, was the head of TSN at the time, and we were sitting there at dinner, and somewhere we're talking about somebody brought up Twitter at the time, as it was called, and they said, "Oh, Ray, you get into it a little bit on there." And I said, "Yeah, I like to, I don't know if you're aware." I said to Stu, I don't know if you're, but like these guys chirp me, so like I chirp back. He goes, "Oh yes, we're aware." And it wasn't a supportive, "Oh yes, we're aware." No. It was you could probably shut up at this time if you'd like.
Yeah, HR has made us abundantly aware, right?
So I was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Well, you'll appreciate and understand that level of concern, I think, is now shifted to Luke Wilson. It's like, what's bugging Luke Wilson? Because some of the stuff that guy gets into, especially with CFL fans, it's amusing to me.
It's unwinnable. It's unwinnable for sure.
You can't win that. You can't.
No.
All right, let's get into the headlines brought to us by the Canadian Brewhouse. Catch all of the action at the Canadian Brewhouse. Hockey lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. Catch every game with beer specials, game day prizes, and much, much more. All at the best hockey house in town. Check them out online. All the locations, 48 of them, at thecanadianbrewhouse.com for details on where your local brew house is and what's up this hockey season. What's up this week? Well, a lot of mega contract extensions. That's what's up. Let's start with a biggie, and that was on Wednesday. The Vegas Golden Knights locked down Jack Eichel to the tune of 8 years, $13.5 million is the AAV. But what's noteworthy about this is how front-loaded this deal is, right? His base salary, Jack Eichel's base salary in this extension rate, never goes beyond $1.25 million. The first 3 years of the contract, he gets over $16 million in signing bonus money. So pretty good to be Jack Eichel, but important piece. And I think when you look at it in terms of the annual average salary, 13.5 for Jack, I think that's fair market. I think that's a good deal for both.
Well, I mean, he's one of the best centers in the game. He is one of the players I think I could look at over the last 5 years and say clearly his game is elevated step by step to a way bigger impact on the game than he had early in his career. Like he's in the prime peak years of his career. I think he's a terrific player. So, when the kids don't learn handwriting anymore in school, it's important to be able to sign your name because
cursive.
If you can Jack Eichel that one up, it's a hell of a lot of signing bonus money, isn't it? It's almost $50 million to sign your name. So I guess I don't quite, I know there's a math formula to it. It can only decrease by a certain amount per year. But those last years of the contract, that opens up if ever they were to say, hey, look, it's time for a new start or something or other, that would be an easy money contract to move, depending where, we're talking 7-8 years down the road. But, man, you look at that Vegas lineup and, they lose last night. They were down, they were up, they end up losing in overtime. But those top two lines look like they can do some damage.
Yeah, let's go there because Marner missed in the shootout, but he had a couple of points, a couple of assists with Jack. Just
by the way, that shootout attempt
yeah,
had no chance of going in.
Yeah.
The way he came in off the wing, he never showed shot at any point, and that had no chance of going in. He ended up just going across the net, and becomes a relatively easy save for Forsberg.
True. Yeah. Did you catch the introduction of Mitch Marner? Like all
I
of
did not
the
know.
ceremony leading up to the game. Okay, only Vegas can get away with this,
Right.
obviously, based on the environment. But there were showgirls.
Yep.
There were all kinds of stuff. There was just everything happening, including, he got dumped off at the TNT set with Gretz and all the guys in like this fancy white SUV, and he just saddles right up, jumps on set, does his pregame spiel, and then off he goes. But as I'm watching this after the fact unfold, I'm thinking, well, number one, it's only Vegas can get away with this. But if that were to happen in it wouldn't happen in a Canadian market. But imagine if that happened in Toronto. Marner would have been like, what are you doing to this guy? And why is this guy participating in all this? Yet he's there all smiles, talking about his family, how great Vegas is, and then follows it up, I guess, with a half-decent game and looks to have some chemistry with Eichel.
Well, okay, but so this is where I think the players in the league and the teams, they just don't get it. Because none of that pregame stuff that you talked about bothered Mitch during the game because he just went and played. Like, do you see in other sports, I've seen interviews with the guy that's going to receive the ball in the Super Bowl. Like they talk to him like 3 minutes before the ball lands in his hands. They stick a mic in the cockpit of a driver that's going to drive his car 200 miles an hour in the next minute.
It's because it's entertaining, right? That's what the drive is for. Yeah.
And so what is this? If a guy does an interview like during warm-up, while warm-up's going on, and he wears a mic, or none of that matters.
No.
Guys are fooling around in warm-up anyway. Like I think they really miss this. Like they just don't get it. And it's I'm glad that he did that. To hear, I didn't see it, but I'm glad he did it. Good.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Yeah. He went out and he played hard, and like I don't know. Him and Eichel together. The one thing I wonder about is like somebody's got to shoot the puck eventually. Well, I'll tell you, if you haven't seen that Dorofeyev kid shoot the puck, that guy can really shoot it. So 35 goals last year, one of the rare Vegas draft picks. Vegas has traded out all their picks, to accumulate these players that they have on their team, which is always in the mix. But this kid came along and, I guess they missed Marchessault's goals, but they felt pretty confident that they were going to fill them with Dorofeyev. He's man, that kid can really shoot it.
Looks like it, sure. Okay, let's get to the news out of Winnipeg, and then we'll drift into Edmonton because they've got some off-ice work done too. Kyle Connor gets 8 years from the Winnipeg Jets, $12 million AAV. And this was a contract that, both parties wanted to get done. Kyle didn't want to go anywhere. He loves Winnipeg. I had a lengthy conversation with him on Wednesday about it. He's raising a young family in Winnipeg. He's an outdoorsy guy, enjoys the fishing and all of that. But as you know, Ray, and I might stand to be corrected on this, but I'm pretty sure that prior to this deal with Kyle Connor, there were 3 teams that didn't give signing bonus structure: Winnipeg, Detroit, and St. Louis. And Winnipeg just optically was opposed to it. They just, they felt like it sets a dangerous precedent. But it also gets to a point where we're at on the business side of the National Hockey League where you don't have a choice. If Kyle Connor wants signing bonus money included, he's getting signing bonus money included. And that when Morrissey's deal is coming up, he's going to want signing bonus money included. Right. So that was the sticking point. They stayed up late on Tuesday night and they get it done. He gets a whack. But it's roughly 40% of the contract, which I think the Winnipeg Jets would view as a victory. So sure, they concede in giving up signing bonus, but we just talked about Jack Eichel. That's predominantly bonus money. So what do you think of the deal overall, and the fact that not a whole lot different than Kaprizov in Minnesota? Winnipeg knows they can't replace a player like Kyle Connor. They know that player's not coming to Winnipeg, so they really had to get it done, and they did.
I think there's a pressure in Winnipeg, smaller markets, to draft really well, because those players, you have to find them. You have to get them initially, because it's going to be really hard to compete for them on a free agent market. Connor's he's a terrific player. Like there's just not a part of the game that he doesn't touch. And this is a win for Winnipeg. The thing I'd say about the bonus, though, is remember when no trades were pretty rare. Yeah. And then pretty soon, everybody in the league had them, or it seemed like it anyway. So at some point, I guess you have to look at it internally and go, we're going to give bonus money to a Connor, a Morrissey, a Scheifele, a Hellebuck. But when a third line guy wants to come in and sign for a little bit of bonus money, he's not getting it. We'll go find another one of those guys. But your headliners, the guys that pull the bus along, you're probably going to have to get into it, whether you want to or not. Winnipeg's got some pretty good players signed for a pretty long time, and that's pretty. I think it's pretty clear they do a good job in Winnipeg of making the guys feel wanted and comfortable, and the type of guys that want to stay there, they're going to stay. And there's lots of, they get kicked in the shins sometimes, but there's lots of players that leave lots of different teams. Sure. But when it happens to Winnipeg, people say, well, see, because they don't want to stay there. Well, they didn't want to stay in the other places either, and they left.
Right. So Kevin Cheveldayoff told me an interesting story on Kyle Connor, and the character and how hard this guy worked to become a top player in the National Hockey League. I mean, really, that's what he is. I mean, he's pushing towards the 50-goal mark. But if you remember, so Connor comes out of University of Michigan, played 1 year there. Mm-hmm. He played, I think, 20 games in 2016-17 with the Jets, and was impactful. But Paul Maurice, at the time, head coach of the Jets, said, we're a veteran club. He's not staying in my lineup. So what do you want to do with this kid? But he's not going to make it at the NHL level this year. And Chevy said he had the talk with Rich Evans, said, look, we want to send him to the Moose. Kyle said, yeah, no problem. Went to the Moose for the rest of the year, and part of the following year, ripped it up in the American League, comes back to the NHL after that, and has been on the first line essentially for the Winnipeg Jets ever since. But I guess the point of that story is, developmentally, what does that tell you about a young guy like that, right? A first-round draft pick. Okay, you want to send me to the American Hockey League? Yeah, okay. I'll go there. I'll prove to you that I'm ready to be a top 6 NHL player. And he did.
Well, tells me he doesn't have or didn't have and doesn't have an ego. Yeah. That is like, okay, he probably wasn't happy about it, but okay, so I'll go play. And I'm 19 years old or 20 years old at the time, and the way a player like that does it is you just play yourself out of the possibility of being in the American League.
Right.
He's just eventually, I'm sure Paul looks at it and goes, the guy's too good. I gotta, or the management says to Paul, this guy's too good. We got to get him up. And then you get him up and you're like, we are a veteran team, but now we got a young guy. Like sometimes they just change the narrative, right?
Sure. And we'll move on to Jack Roslovic signing here in Edmonton. But I interviewed both Scheifele and Kyle Connor yesterday independently, and both of them acknowledged the other. Like Kyle Connor just said, Mark Scheifele is my center, is one of the many reasons, a primary reason why I wanted to stay and extend here. And then Scheifele said the same thing about, you must have had a similar experience with a winger. I
didn't stay in teams long enough.
And you must have had somebody that said, I love playing with Ray Ferraro as my center.
Well, I like to think Pat Flatley and Benny Hogue thought that.
Yeah,
I like to think Andrew Burnett and Donald Audette said that.
Sure.
I'm sure there were a couple guys that went, oh geez, I'd rather play with that guy because I probably thought that about a couple of my wingers too. Just I'd rather play with probably play with somebody else and have a better way about it. But to be able to play for as long as they have together and to have the success that they have, like that doesn't happen much anymore, right? It's really such a transient league. I thought it was when I saw those quotes, I was like, that's pretty cool because that is a rare thing.
So on the heels of the Connor McDavid 2-year contract extension, Stan Moman is getting some stuff done, right? He gets Wallman extended. Mattias Ekholm is extended on a 3-year deal, which will take him to the end of his career. And in game, they more or less, I guess, announced the signing of Jack Roslovic, an unrestricted free agent to a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. I'm good with this because isn't this a clear example of a reset? Obviously, Jack was hoping to land something better during the offseason and early in the process had engaged with the Oilers and they couldn't make the fit work. All right. So that's fine. But if you're hitting that reset, if you're Roslovic at 28 years old, not a bad place to do it with McDavid, Draisaitl, and others.
No, I mean, Jack's, I've seen him play a lot. He's he's been around the games that I do quite frequently. I've seen him in the playoffs the last couple of years with the Rangers in Carolina. High skill, high skill. Has a tendency to wander in and out of the game. That would be the knock on him, that he can get pushed to the outside of the game. But his skill doesn't need many chances to create something. And so when, the Oilers are looking for some depth of scoring, obviously, around their lineup. And, like I thought Ike Howard had a good first night, hit the post in the opener last night against Calgary. Like they're trying to get Savoy in. They're trying to get younger and a little faster. And Roslovic's a really good skater. He's got really good hands. He can move around the lineup, right? Like he can play both wings. He can play a little bit of center. And when you said about reset, the guy I thought of last year ended up in the same boat was Kevin Lankinen in Vancouver. He was a free agent and was out there for a long time, and the Canucks signed him right before training camp, and he had an amazing year, and then signed a 4-year deal late, I think March of last year. And so that's obviously what Roslovic's looking for is the opportunity to play again. I mean, he didn't hang around this long to get a 1-year deal. I mean, that wasn't clearly the goal. But now you just, if you're him, you get yourself to Edmonton as fast as you can. You're happy about it. And you start learning the way they play, and you give it a go. And it would be hard not to think of this as a 1-year shot. Yeah. But a lot of people thought Jake Wallman was going to be a short-term fit there, and that pretty clearly is not the case, right? He came in, he played great, and now they've locked him up for the majority of his career.
Yeah, and you're good with the Mattias Ekholm extension. I mean, pushes him into his late 30s, but I mean, this is a 20-plus minute guy. Defends extraordinarily well, penalty kill all of it.
Yeah, he might not be by the end of the deal, right? Like he might slide into a little bit of a lesser role, a role that has few less minutes, maybe a few less matchup minutes, but at some point age will catch just about everybody. I love Ekholm though. Like he's like a Viking, right? Like he plays hard. He's kind of mean. He's a really good defender. And I'd say it's pretty clear that the Oilers love the way that he plays with Bouchard. And, he's a really steady hand. And it's one thing to be a defensive guy, but if you're playing with someone that's going to create offense like Bouchard does, you've got to be able to move the puck, right? And the Edmonton forwards, they do not, Draisaitl and McDavid in particular, they don't want to be digging pucks out of their feet all night. You got to be able to put that on the blade and get it to them at the right time. And I think Ekholm's a really, really good player.
So you mentioned off the top of the podcast that obviously you did the Pittsburgh New York Ranger game. So that was game one of the regular season. It's probably too soon to ask this question, but I mean, did you notice anything that maybe not specifically from each team, but just generally, because it does take 5 games, 10 games before we collectively start to notice, like, is there a trend or teams approaching things differently? And that's independent of each club and how they want to play and all of that. But, or will it take you, like I said, 5, 10 games before you go, that's interesting. I've done a few games now, a handful of games, and here's what I'm seeing at ice level now.
Too early. I thought the Penguins had a perfect first night. Like Arturs Silovs started in goal over Tristan Jarry, which was a story. He didn't have much to do. Like he made a couple of good saves, but he was steady. He got shut out, right? Like did his job. Like Parker Wotherspoon had a really great night on defense. The left side of their D is Wotherspoon, Ryan Shea, and Caleb Jones. Like, how is that going to hold up over 82 games?
Doesn't
right?
Sound
like
it's going to hold up well.
No, well, like it just doesn't. And then you've got a 19-year-old and Harrison Brunick on defense who they're rightfully really excited about. But he's a 19-year-old. There's going to be the wave of up and down to that. Up front, I thought Malkin was awesome. Terrific night. And so he's playing with Anthony Mantha and Justin Brazeau. And so like these 3 gigantic guys, huge. But there's going to be some nights when that line has no feet. Right. It's just not going to be. So I thought Pittsburgh must be. I ran into Jason Spezza after, and he was really happy. Right. Like, and they're really happy about their 18-year-old Ben Kindle, who was their first round pick, had a really great first night. Really great first night. And so they were really excited. The Rangers, on the other hand, outside of their uniforms, which I thought looked amazing, their 100-year uniforms, Shesterkin was good. Zibanejad had a good night. That was pretty much it. They looked slow and plodding. They're in we talked to Mike Sullivan, the coach, their new coach before, and he said, look, we're putting in a whole new way of playing. And he goes, and I think it might take us some time. Like Panarin didn't have a preseason. Miller didn't have a preseason. Neither of those guys look very good, but they're good players. And it's one game. So it is going to take a little time, but man, you don't want to fall too far behind the 8 ball while you're trying to get going here. And so these next 5, 6, 7 games are pretty important to get your feet underneath you. Both places.
Excellent. Yeah, both places. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. All right, now on to the fun of this episode. We always have fun. We had fun off the top, talked about social media, get into the meat of things with the contracts and all of the stuff and the Brewhouse headlines. And now we get into the challenge. And I got to bring Ryan Rishaug into the mix here.
We're gonna have. I think we need to have a little bit of a side bet on this too.
Oh, well, hold on. First of all, let Ryan explain what the Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge is all about. And most people know. I mean, they're not living under rocks, but most people. Anyway, Ryan, you go ahead. But I'm with you. We do have to orchestrate some sort of a side bet, either a 2-way, you and me, Ray, or throw Rishaug into the mix. Maybe Zuby, whatever it takes.
Well, Rishaug will play more frequently, but given last night's results, I don't know that that's a worry or not.
Yeah. So the Tim's,
he's got to sing Pink Pony Club on this podcast.
But we can play for stakes like that. When we envisioned this, the idea was, we'd have some friendly competition, but maybe some really crappy stakes for whoever would lose. Maybe we do it monthly. I don't know. We'll figure out the cadence of it. But if you guys want to put a little embarrassment on the line, there's no end that I'll go to embarrassing myself for good content. So I'm fine with that.
As long as You can sing and play the guitar. That's fine. There'll be none of that from this end of the bargain here. Zero.
Well, that's where the embarrassment part of it comes in.
Sure.
So guys, Tim's challenge, it's tons of fun, right? So all you gotta do is you download the Tim Hortons app, then you go find the Tim's hockey challenge on there. And it's a really cool contest. They run all year long. Basically, you just, each day you pick 3 guys. You have 3 different lists to pick from, and you pick one guy out of each list, and you pick someone that's gonna score. And you can get streaks going. The app tracks it all for you. You can compete with all kinds of different people. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a Ray and Dregs entry that's going to play basically on an everyday basis. And as a team, we'll kind of manage that. But we're also going to have individual ones that you guys do, that I do, probably Zuby. And we'll do our own little internal competition. And we're going to do those ones on show days. So we'll have a little bit of fun, some internal competition. But it should be great this year.
I'm doing it every day because I like free coffee, and I know I'm going to win free coffee by just playing every day. Loading
Perfect. If you want to play every day, that's awesome. Play every day then.
I'm going to try.
Have at her. So you get a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. There's a chance to win a Hyundai Tucson, the season-ending grand prize. And for those in Canada, you can also try and keep that 7-day streak alive and win free coffee or tea for a week. So for a full list of all the prizes and everything, you can visit timhortons.ca. So I went on it.
So
yesterday.
Your streak's off to a bad start. Then, right?
Yeah,
so you're just starting today.
I did not do well yesterday. It's really cool. You can actually go to the history. So you click history. So I picked Connor McDavid, Charlie McAvoy, and Darnell Nurse, right? Were the ones that I picked for day one. And so I went to check my results.
Can I interrupt you there? So
yeah,
just
go ahead.
So the people that haven't looked into the app yet, you don't get to pick anybody from around the league. No, there are buckets of player. Like, so
yes.
When you get into that third bucket, your
she
third
could be
player,
Slim Pickens.
Sorry, like, Darnell.
If we're picking someone to shoot it off the glass, we got 4 choices here. But
exactly. So I go check my results this morning, and I love how blunt they are. Right? There's no need for us to mince words here. None of your picks were correct. Play again. So I was just like, I was like, that rattled me a little. So I dug in and I focused a little bit more on my picks for tonight. So I got Pettersson, Lowry, and Shea Theodore tonight. So I feel annoyed that I got none right, and I want to do better. But you guys are going to submit your picks for the first time today. Do you have them picked yet?
Yeah, I do. I got one question. Lowry's not playing tonight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's out for
at
least another month.
Oh, goodness. I did it quickly.
Good pick.
Holy smokes. The Edmonton Bureau is in good shape.
Why didn't you pick Yari Curry?
No, that might have been a good one. He's off to a good start. I've been a little bit focused on Connor McDavid for the last little bit here, guys. I'm still getting up to speed on everything else. My head's been in the sand, the McDavid sand.
Okay.
Thanks for going there, Dregs. Thanks for that.
Well, can you change your pick, or once it's in, it's done?
No, it's there's a little thing on the screen that shows a lock, so I think that's locked.
Well, I don't. So you only got 2 choices today. Good choice there, Ryan. So
all I got to do is get 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm going with Elias Pettersson. Then I picked Jake Gensel. They're in Tampa. They're playing Ottawa, and then because Dregs is in Winnipeg, I picked Josh Morrissey. I think Josh has got a chance to sift one of those wristers from the point that work its way through. So those are my picks: Pettersson, Gensel, Morrissey.
Nice. Well, as I alluded to, I'm going all Canadian with the first crack here. And you're right. I'm in Winnipeg. And I mean, there was so much love around Kyle Connor, especially Ray, as we talked about in the Brewhouse headlines, the Connor Scheifele connection. So Mark Scheifele is my first pick out of that first group. He's feeling good, looks good. Shane Pinto had a heck of a training camp for the Ottawa Senators. Terrific preseason. One of those guys, as we know, goes in that greasy area. So Shane Pinto was picked too. And this kind of irks me a little bit because it's sort of, it kind of balances us out a little bit. I too took Josh Morrissey as my third selection. So all Canadian.
I don't know.
Tightly
I
pinned
still
to Mars.
feel like Lowry might just stun everybody and come down that tunnel during the introductions and have a big night.
When he comes
his
down
dad,
in
Dave has a better chance of playing.
A bit of a brain cramp there. All right. Not liking my chances in the early going here. We'll do just a couple of real quick Ask Ray and Dregs, guys, and then we'll get the heck out of here. Samuel Fleming hits us up on Twitter. Says, which of these potential milestones intrigues you the most? Stamkos joining the 600 assist club, 18 goals away. Kopitar being the Kings' all-time points leader, or Patrick Kane needing 57 points to be the first American to get to 1,400 career points. Which one of those maybe tweaks your interest, Dregs or Ray?
Not interest, but we always talk about this. We don't cheer for teams, but we do cheer for individuals, and we cheer for individual stories. And all the names that you've just mentioned, all good guys and Hall of Famers, no question about that. We did a couple of Detroit games in the preseason, and one of them, Patrick Kane, played in. And when he's got the puck, I just watch him because he's always doing something interesting with the puck. So, I mean, the way his world has evolved, especially over the last decade or so, I like the idea of this guy hitting that accolade. So I'll be cheering for Patty Kane.
Kopitar for me. Kopitar for me. Last year deserves all of the publicity that he might get, and reaching a milestone would give him a little more bump. He's just has been a core pillar for the Kings and for the league.
All right. One last one here. This isn't a write-in. This is me asking you guys, do you think this matters? Do you think this matters? I do. So I'm watching the game last night here in Edmonton, and McDavid grabs the puck, and he goes whipping up ice. And I thought, is he faster? Does he look faster? And then immediately my cousin Steve texts me and goes, is he faster? So this morning I circled back on NHL Edge. 24.61 miles per hour last night was his top speed. It is the highest top speed he has registered since they started tracking it in 21-22. Regular season or playoffs, his previous high was 24.19. Last year, 23.97. These are small margins, I get it, but McDavid plays on the margins. He registered 14 bursts over 20 miles an hour last night. He did that on average 6.6 times per game last season. So he hit a top speed in the first game that he's never hit before since they've been registering this. Is that a thing, Ray?
Well, at a certain point, you can't catch him anyway. It's like now he's just pulling away faster than that's 24 miles an hour is ridiculous to think about. I would suggest then, how many times did he get to 20 miles an hour last night?
14.
I'd suggest getting somebody is closer to his feet than that. Like you're asking for it if he gets that kind of room. Is it a thing? Like I before his contract, we were on here talking about it, and I said I think he's going to get 120 points anyway. Yeah. I just think he's going to have a monster year. I really do, and I do think not that. Clearly, he does not need any motivation. He doesn't need anything to drive him. But the circumstance of his contract, I think, gives even more juice to the way he'll play. I think he's going to have a monster year.
I do think it matters. I think it matters because, teams across the National Hockey League have struggled to defend against the speed of Connor McDavid, right? I mean, that's obvious. And every team in the league doesn't need Ryan Rishaug to notice it from the press box. They've got their own analytics people, and they would have that data immediately. So again, imagine if you're doing your prep work and you're trying to shut down whatever it is, the power play 5-on-5 with McDavid as an opposing coaching staff, and you're like, oh, by the way, yeah, he just
McDavid's faster.
How do we deal
just wanted to let you all know, Connor's faster.
Can you imagine if something happens, breaks down in front of a defenseman, and you see the gap, you're backing up, and here comes McDavid across the top of his circles, and there's nobody for 30 feet in front of you. You must be in full panic mode. because
Full panic.
you know, like the bench is yelling tight gap, and you're like, yeah, good one. You want me to get up there to come back? No chance. And if he's going that fast, you really, I mean, you kind of like hang on for dear life, I think, at that point.
Great.
We should give Miles Wood some flowers here. He was 24.82 on a max speed for all of last season. So Miles Wood actually hit the top speed, but love these stats at NHL Edge Keep. The other thing with McDavid, guys, he talked about how his offseason was different this year. He didn't allow himself at any point to get out of game shape. So he kept going from the time the season ended to the time the season started again. He didn't fall out of game shape. Apparently his summer was bananas. And you can see it in his face. You can see it in his physique. Like, that guy is in peak midseason form. So when I saw that last night, it kind of tracked with his approach to the offseason and the focus that he had in his approach to this year, Ray.
You know what I when I hear that, I think about the start, of course, but the games are compacted this year. And then when everybody gets a 3-week break, he's going to go to the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder where you run out of energy for a 2 or 3 week stretch.
Right.
You know, like, so, sorry, I'm just watching my grandson walk out with Landon to the car here. And he came flying across the window here. I don't think he was at 24 miles an hour, but he's picking up speed. He really is.
Not if he's a Ferraro, it wasn't.
No, those are short strides. We all got the short stride. I would, so that would be the one thing now I'm just going to put in my head to see, I wonder if he runs out of steam somewhere that he needs a 2 or 3 week, where you back off his mitt a little bit, because most of the league is going to get it. He won't.
All right. That was Ask Ray and Dregs, and an introduction to the NHL Tim's Challenge, which will be lots of fun for the season. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right,
See you, Ryan.
Thank you. I don't think we can let him off the mat anytime soon for taking an injured player, for selecting Adam Lowry in the Tim Hortons Challenge. That one's
brain cramp. It's a little brain cramp.
I think there's a pretty good chance next week I'll select Ron Francis.
Oh, that's outstanding.
One pick a week. I think I'm gonna go off the board and honor that selection from Ryan.
Yes, yeah. Well, we should have a fourth selection, right? We'll have our 3, and then we'll have the Phantom fourth, we'll call it. All right.
That's the guy. Yeah.
All right. I'm in Winnipeg for the Jets home opener against Dallas, and you've got the Canucks tonight, correct?
Yep. Calgary's here on the back-to-back. I'll be interested to see if they play Dustin Wolf both times. He played last night, was excellent. Man, he's a good goalie. Yeah. He's really good. And so Calgary and Vancouver tonight for me, and then enjoy the weekend and off to Washington on Monday for Tampa Bay. So got a weekend off, but looking forward to tonight's game. So hope you enjoy the night in Winnipeg, everybody. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the first weekend of NHL hockey.
It should be a good one. And thank you to our sponsors who support Ray and Driggs and make this podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And to the Canadian Brew House, thank you as well. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.